So we got Supernatural Season 9, Episode 5, titled Dog Dean Afternoon. After last week's episode, the sort of one shot, seeing the preview for this, and I was like, okay, it's going to be another one shot. I was a little bit more okay with it than the last one. I was thinking, oh man, after the way things ended with Cass, I don't want a one shot, I want main story. Ended up loving last week's episode, and then I knew this was going to be a one shot. I thought, okay, they're going back to that classic, supernatural formula with a couple of one shots here and there. And, they kind of, in this episode, I think they really give a good reason why they can do that. Because everything is almost perfect. It's really, they got Crowley. They have everything set up for the base. They got Kevin. Cass, who we actually see in the preview now, is sort of okay. I'm assuming Dean, told him what the deal was with Sam. But, he has a job now, and the Angels are out looking for him. But things are fairly simple right now, so they can kind of go off on their one-shot missions, which is pretty cool. And in this one, I thought, okay, it'll be funny, of course. Dean will be connected to this dog. They have some funny dialogue, which, of course, they do. But I wasn't thinking of, maybe the spell will have, Dean end up talking to all animals, or even if it's just dogs, maybe they'll go to a dog pound and stuff like that. Wasn't even in my head. But I really love this episode for what they did. It was hilarious to me. Them at the dog pound was so funny when Sam had to scratch the one dog's belly and he was like, that a boy. It was really funny. It was a good episode. And probably my favorite part was Dean when he was about to pull a gun on the pigeon, or when he did pull a gun on the pigeon, and he was like freaking out. He was about to shoot a bird, but loved the episode. Thought it was really good. The guy that they ended up fighting at the end, I thought was pretty cool. That he was just like a human using magic. I thought it was some sort of hybrid type creature that just gained abilities. But this guy, a normal human, gained these abilities because he was using magic, which he used in order to save himself. So it was kind of cool to see that. They gave us the little teaser once again where Sam is getting just closer and closer every episode to figuring out, something's up with him. And in this one, he gets scratched and he almost dies. And then, Ezekiel just switches and heals him and switch right back. And, since he wasn't dead, that's why he didn't pass out this episode, because every other time, Ezekiel always has to bring someone back to life and then he passes out. But, it's that quick little second. And something I thought that was interesting is that Sam doesn't really question the fact that he was scratched like that. Like, he does after he's healed automatically, but, after that scene, he doesn't really think about it. He's kind of just like, I wonder why he asked me, what am I? Or maybe he is, and that's just, how they wrote it, and he's, because he's Sam, he would do that type of thing where he'd wait and, see what Dean does in random situations and say, okay, excuse me, I don't remember what happened, here, but I know that time when I fought the, crazy guy eating animal parts, he scratched my neck and I was about to bleed out because, and he remembers that because of the part when he, like, right after he's healed, he kind of, like, does this and looks at his hand. And also from last week's episode when Dean says, Zeke, and that was, like, a millisecond before Ezekiel, switched places with him. So if he remembered that, then he remembers, being scratched. So I think he might actually remember. And I'm just doing this, like, off the top of my head, so I convince myself he remembers. But hopefully he does, and, he's kind of just calculating now and trying to figure out what exactly happened right then. He obviously got scratched. Then he's just healed all of a sudden, and he doesn't, remember that little second window. So it'll be cool to see how that plays out, because with this happening, I feel like he could actually figure things out on his own, and that would be pretty cool to see rather than Dean just gets busted, lying to him. But something they do at the end of this episode is, when Dean's explaining things to Sam about how the guy was crazy and how he was possessed by something he couldn't control, Dean kind of pauses and he's like, eventually he was taken over by what possessed him and stuff like that. It seemed like Dean, had sort of a moment where he was like, can I really trust Ezekiel, even though he's helping Sam to survive? he may only be doing that so he has a strong body, because I'm sure all the angels know that, you know, like obviously, this was like seasons ago when Cass mentions how eventually what Sam and Dean do will be called like the Winchester Chronicles and stuff. So I would assume every single angel knows that Sam and Dean were like, pretty much like the vessels for these specific angels. And, Sam would still be a very powerful vessel. So I think Dean kind of had that moment in his head where he's like, can I really trust Ezekiel, who is, possessing my brother? And even though he's helping him now, once Ezekiel's healed, who knows what's going to happen then? So a little hint, could have just been random that he paused. Could have just been he paused 'cause he was trying to figure something out. But I think that's what that moment was supposed to signify, and I really thought it was a cool little bit that they added in. But overall, I loved the episode. Thought it was really really funny. It was probably the funniest episode I've seen in a while. And last week's episode was really funny too. But this one, the stuff with all the different animals, like the bird and the dog, asking for Sam to scratch his belly, all of it was just really really silly and well done. We didn't get to see Kevin, but Kevin was referenced, and he's kind of taking Bobby's place a little bit, which I thought was going to be done by Garth, but now Kevin's at the bunker, so it transferred over to Kevin. But excited for next week's episode for sure, because Cass is going to be back in the show, um, being followed again. So it'll be interesting to see if that guy ends up being a recurring character, or if he's just sort of a one-off character that they kill in the end. But excited for next week's episode. Love this episode. That was hilarious. So comment below, let me know what you thought of it. Favorite part, least favorite part. I won't even ask, because obviously everyone's glad that they're going back to the main story, especially because it's going to be about Cass. So just comment on everything about this episode, everything about this season so far. Are you liking it? Are you not liking it? Comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.